welcome back to the Muse Corner with me, Dr. B. And if you are new here, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. So without further ado, let's just jump right into today's video. So today we're going to be talking about me starting over in my 30s and all the hard lessons I had to learn along the way. So this video is for you if you are turning 30 sometime soon, if you're in your 30s like I am, if you're feeling unmotivated, if you're feeling lost, if you're feeling confused. Hopefully this video can serve as providing a bit of a perspective shift so that you can see that everything that you've done or have not yet accomplished thus far, you're right where you need to be and it's not too late to get in your bag. Okay? All right, so I do have some notes because I am quite the yapper and I do want to stay on topic, so let's just jump right in. I do want to provide a bit of context. When I say starting over, it's more of like a starting over adjacent. It's more of a pivot, right? Because I do have a current career and I do have education that helped me get into the career field that I'm currently in. However, the pivot kind of came to be when my job reduced my hours. So just quick little bit of context about that. So earlier this year, I have been going back and forth with myself of like, I think it's time for me to go all in. I've done the traditional path of success and now I kind of want to do my own thing and get into like content creation and other entrepreneurial endeavors. And I think now's the time, because if I keep waiting, then I'm just gonna phase out of relevance. And I just need to hurry up. So should I take time off of work? Should I take a leave? Should I work less hours? And it was just this chaotic going back and forth. I've been going back and forth about that from like September through February. And sometime in June or May, that's when my job hit us with the, hey, by the way, we're cutting your hours. So I took that as a sign from God that you keep going back and forth, I'm gonna make the decision for you. And so now that you are being forced to work less hours and have more free time, what are you gonna do with that? Also, what kind of catapulted me into this pivot, unfortunately, was that in March, I actually was in a car accident, a single car accident, fortunately enough. Actually ended up drifting off the side of the freeway into a ditch. It was very scary. I thought I was gonna die. So that was very traumatic. I do not talk about it. I don't think that I have completely processed all of that. I was on my way to work. To this day, I do not take that route to work. I now take the streets to work. And the reason why that moment was so monumental for me personally is because it happened a week after my birthday. And I remember on my birthday just making all of these plans about, okay, this is my year, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And then to just, in the blink of an eye, possibly could have been out of here. That was very jarring for me and eye-opening, because that day, I remember that day very vividly. I remember washing my face, brushing my teeth, getting ready for work, and just like dreading being up so early and having to go to work and all of this stuff. And then literally 15 minutes, cars in a ditch. And I always think about that. Like, we make all these plans and whether we actually execute them or we just stay in the planning phase, it's like at the blink of an eye, all of that can just be gone. And then on top of dealing with the accident, I kind of slid into a little bit of a depression because it was so surreal, and people kept saying to me, oh, just be grateful, it could have been worse, it could have been that, and it's like, I was grateful, but just knowing that I was just doing my normal, regular, everyday routine, and that could have literally been the end of it, just on my way to work. I feel like that also helped get me to this point in my pivot, because life is too short and just go for it. No overthinking, there's no right or wrong answer. Just try something out and see what happens. So this is me trying something out and seeing what happens and bringing you guys along for my journey. Let's talk about a little bit of my backstory. I followed the path that most millennials did. I did the traditional thing. I got a bachelor's. Right after I got my bachelor's, I got a master's degree, finished my master's degree in a year. I have always been an overachiever. So that's also what's leading to my pivot, because I'm like, well, if I was able to surpass expectations going the more traditional path, let me bet on myself and see what it's like when you're just operating from your own thoughts, There's no rubric, there's no guidance, you're not being graded on it, so to speak, in a traditional sense. Let's see if you really got it like that. And that's where I'm at currently. But yeah, so I got my master's in a year. Immediately after, I went and got my doctorate degree, finished my doctorate degree by the age of 30, and that was it. A couple months before I got my doctorate degree, found out that my older sister had passed away. We were estranged at that point, but we had been close for majority of my lifetime, so that really hit me hard. And that kind of probably was like one of the onslaughts rather to my depression. And then a couple years after that, the pandemic hit. And I'm sure that was a crazy time for most people. I don't need to go too far into that, but during the pandemic, I had a very jarring experience happen, which led to what I would like to call my great awakening. And it led me down a path of healing, of intentional, no rushing, no using buzzwords, no trying to self-care my way out of it with like facials and whatever the case. The healing process was brutal. It was ugly. I was having epiphanies every day. I was having flashbacks. I was having nightmares. It was definitely my rock bottom. And that lasted all the way through 2024. Recently out of that. And that's why when I had the accident, I felt myself backsliding. And so the next day after my accident, I had to work, everything, because I afford to mentally go back to that place. All of that happened, and because I had finished school up until this point, I was working only, no school to offset things. And this was also a new identity for me, because from preschool to doctorate degree, I had been a student and identified as a student my entire life, and one of the youngest in my field at particular place that I was working. So I was watching all these people who were older, settled into their lives, had kids, families, were moving up in our field. And I remember thinking, I don't want my entire existence to become my job. I still want to have an identity outside of work. And when I realized in 2020, oh, this is exactly what I did. My job is my identity. That was very tough for me, that time frame. I went through that. I did seek counseling. Everybody was burnt out. Everybody was overworked and underpaid, underappreciated, overwhelmed. And I remember I stopped going to my therapist because she was even venting during our sessions. Because I have a background in counseling, I try not to take it personally, but I did understand at that point as well that it's highly inappropriate for her to do. You're not supposed to come into your sessions with any of your own biases, any of your own baggage. So inadvertently, I wasn't trying to hold it against her, but I felt like this is not helping me. If anything, it's probably making it worse, because now I'm realizing that my experience is not that unique and I can't even get help from someone. At that point, it was like, dang, if even the therapist, not saying that therapists are perfect, but I'm saying like if even the therapist is burnt out to the point that she's now venting to me, there's no hope. I'm probably always gonna be sad because it's happening to everybody. So I stopped going to therapy. Could have been good, could have been bad. I did get closer to God. Bringing us back to present day, or at least 2025. In addition to the car accident, I had to get a new car. Car was totaled. And in getting the car, I had a car note and had to get car insurance. And because I was in an accident, car insurance doubled. So now feet are to the fire, right? Lost hours, losing income, more expenses. My rent was increased this year as well, but I have more free time. So I'm trying to see the positive, like, okay, you have more free time. So now what do you want to do? And we'll go into this deeper as we progress with my channel, because this is a brand new channel. And I wanted to go all in on my content creation. I have a podcast. I wanted to relaunch the podcast and be more consistent with it. I started a new streaming career. So it's just a lot of things that I just have been doing on the back burner. And now I can bring to kind of the forefront since I have more time. That's like pretty much the gist of how we even got to be where I'm at a point in life where I feel like it's time to pivot. So let's talk about what I feel is necessary to kind of reframe success. When I was going through that depressing phase over the course of like 2020 to early 2024, I remember just feeling like none of this matters. Society does not reward you based on merit. Society does not reward you based on being a good person. I did all of this, none of it matters. And I realized that I no longer cared. I didn't care about the validation. I didn't care about milestones. I had peers, you know, buying houses and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I don't want to do that. Why would I go and get a 30-year mortgage and become a slave to this house now and have to work 40, 50, 60 hours a week, which with my job, because I'm not gonna lie, I do make a cool amount of money for the amount of hours that I put in. But I just didn't see the necessity to do that. And I just remember feeling so jaded. It's all a game, none of it matters, and I don't wanna play it. I don't wanna play this game, this American dream. I don't wanna do it. And I remember having that conversation with people close to me, and they were like, no, you know, because again, up until this point, I have been an overachiever. So don't get me wrong, like, I'm not just someone who's never accomplished anything. Because I've accomplished so much, that's how I was able to feel this way. Because even though I was in a privileged position compared to other people, now that I look at it in retrospect, probably a little bit ungrateful, but you know, when you're depressed, you can't see the good in things. But I was just looking at everything from a negative lens. I was not seeing the positive in anything. Before this awakening happened, I was chasing all these accolades. And it's like, once those things happened, yes, life did change and I did elevate in certain aspects, but at the core of my existence, I still was unhappy. Yeah, it's cool when you have your friends and people around you hyping you up. At the end of the day, it wasn't enough to make me feel comfortable. And to some people, that could be enough. At that point, I also realized that on the way to all of these different successes, I did not enjoy the journey. I was so locked in on the finished product. One of the things, like I said, when I started working in my field, and I had the idea that I don't want to identity be consumed with my career, one of the things I realized at that point about myself is that, oh, I do still want the house and I do still want the this and the that, but I want it on my own terms. More than anything, I want time freedom. I want financial freedom. I want to be able to still let my creativity take the lead in certain aspects of my life without feeling like I'm just living a monotonous day-to-day autopilot type life. And so I was thinking, okay, what are ways that I can do that? And in 2020, 2021, I tried to start a coaching business. I worked with a few clients, everything went well, it was cool, it was rewarding stuff, but I just felt like I don't want to do this either. I also, at that point, still had a lot of healing left to do. So that's when I took a step back and I just focused on work, and I'm like, let me just focus on healing. That's how I was able to finally come to the place where I was at in 2024, where I was actually able to start pulling myself out of the depression and the fog and the apathy to life. And I realized that it's not about the house, it's about, oh, look what I was able to create from just going out and betting on myself and really putting my creativity into the world, and now I'm being rewarded for it. So that's where I'm at currently. Also, too, for me as a woman, there's just certain things I don't really put on a pedestal in terms of my milestones. So like marriage and kids and starting family, like those aren't things that are important to me. Like I do not criticize, judge, or any other woman who does find those things to be important. But for me, I spent the majority of my life up until this actual point just giving, and putting other people's needs before mine. And so at this phase in life is actually a part where I'm actually like, yo, I'm actually aware, I'm actually conscious now of what I've been doing, and I want to give myself the type of love and nurture and care that I was giving to other people. And I was giving it to other people because I was hoping, by way of proxy, like, you know, you teach little kids, which I feel like we need to stop teaching kids this concept, but treat others how you would want to be treated, because that's what people pleasers are doing. And then when they don't get treated back that way, they actually most of the time get taken advantage of and get treated worse. That's something, you know, you need to treat people how they deserve to be treated. But you know, I'm not here to give life lessons in that regard, but that's something that I learned. So yeah. Okay, now moving on. So one of the biggest things, and this is like the bulk of what I kind of want to give to someone else, at this point in your life, you want to trust yourself and know who you are. So I told you earlier, I'm a geek, I'm a nerd, I love school, I love learning, but even if I'm not in a traditional learning atmosphere, I can still learn. So for example, what that looks like for me is I was on TikTok one day, came across the clickety-clack type keyboards, fell in love with it, ended up on some live streams of some girls doing live streams while like working from home using the clickety-clack keyboards. Those girls just so happened to also be doing video game streaming. And I'm like, okay. Mind you, I'm not a gamer, nothing like that. So I started looking into streaming cozy games. I found this game called Palia, and it was helping a lot with my anxiety. Oh my God, I love this. Let me start streaming it because I want to create a less chaotic environment for people to be able to come and just vibe. Researched how to stream and play the game. I learned how to play the game and stream at the same time. And I remember before I bought any equipment or anything like that, I was researching how to stream. Mid-August, all of September, launched in October, streamed, became monetized on Twitch within a month. So I started streaming October 5th of last year, and I became monetized November, I think Thanksgiving to be exact, of last year. Streaming for me has been very rewarding. If you're interested in my streaming journey, you have to just kind of find that, because I'm not merging my two audiences. They're like very different. And streaming for me was for me to be able to alleviate my anxiety, connect to my inner child, because I feel like my inner child had just been stifled for so long. And my community on Twitch is just a small community, because I started streaming in October. I actually took a break all of summer. So, but I have a small, tight-knit community, and that's just a side note. This me bringing up streaming is not me being a shameless plug. I'm bringing that up because the point that I'm making is I pivoted into something that I knew nothing about, and it actually turned out to be something that I love, and I was able to monetize. So this is just for you out there, if you're watching. If there's something that you've been wanting to do, even if you don't know what to do, get in the field, research, and then do it. Point blank, period. And not only that, people were helping me with my setting up my stream technology and everything, and they helped me play the game. So it's like, you don't gotta come to the market completely a finished product. If people like you, they will help you. I love it. I love it. The other thing that I want to talk about is the power of detachment. You have to be detaching from outcomes, people, environments, etc. Emotionally detaching from things is what helped me finally pull myself out of the depression. And if you're in an environment, or like if you have relationships with family, friends, etc., that you can't immediately just cut all ties for whatever reason, then it is important for you to be able to emotionally detach. That way you can separate yourself from the fog and dealing with all of that drama, to be able to then take that energy back and put it inward. Take that energy back instead of ruminating on your toxic environment, toxic relationships, whatever. Emotionally detaching provides you that space to be able to take your energy back and really get that mental real estate to focus on yourself and your dreams. You can't do that if you're constantly worried about the environment around you. So the biggest thing is detaching. And once you start detaching emotionally, mentally, spiritually, that's how you're able to then be able to put yourself in a position to detach physically. And if you can detach physically first, by all means. But I mean, I'm a realist. I understand how that goes. Subtle distance can help you detach. So if you, like, let's say you live at home with your family and your family's very toxic, spend more time outside of the house. Go do work at a Starbucks, or if you're in school, stay at the library more. Like, provide temporary space to help you with long-term mental space. That is the number one thing that I think helped me to pull myself out, was to start detaching from situations and people, etc. and then pivoting into your new dreams. And that's where I'm at right now. This is my first video on this channel. So hi, hello, welcome. Please subscribe, comment, let me know what you guys want to learn, or if you resonate with this video, if you're excited for your 30s, if you're excited to pivot in your 30s, let me know in the comments below. But this channel is an ode to myself. It's not even about, am I gonna get 1 million subscribers? It's about, I said I was gonna do something and now I'm actually doing it. You know, I tried during the pandemic to make a YouTube, and again, I wasn't in the space yet to be able to do that, and I feel like I am here now. Let's talk about some of the things that I want to pivot into, because right, this is the whole point of the video. So I want to do, obviously, this YouTube. I'm doing streaming. I'm a cozy gamer, so I do streaming on Twitch. I also have a podcast called BeexMuse with Dr. B that I'm actually going to have a separate YouTube channel for. So the podcast is all about self-development, self-love. It's to help you be able to stop ruminating and get out of your head and back into connecting with your body, connecting with your reality, just being able to shift your perspective on things. So I'm going to be relaunching that. And one would say, why are you doing so much at once? Like, focus on one thing. That's another thing about what I said about learning yourself, trusting yourself. I like to do a bunch of things at once, because again, and I'm going to talk about this next, it's not about the destination for me right now. It's about the journey. If I make 100 YouTube videos and only 2-3 people watch them, it's not about the success of the channel. It's about, I said I was going to do something and I went out and I did it. Now, if the success comes and this turns into a 1 million subscriber channel, that's just the icing on the cake. That's just a fruit of my labor. That's just proof of concept. Another thing that I wanted to do is I want to start my own streetwear brand, and I'm completely starting from scratch. I've been researching that just like I did with the streaming. I'm probably going to start small first with doing merch, so I'm going to take you guys on my journey of that. I literally just want this to be like a digital diary where you can get behind the scenes of someone literally starting stuff from scratch, but also potentially serving as inspiration that you can start where you are. You don't have to be perfect. You can do what you want to do. So these are things that I'm going to bring you guys along for the journey. That brings me to my next point. The journey matters more than the destination. Younger me, I was so obsessed with the outcomes, the validation, the external markers of success. I was at USC, and I really should have enjoyed being at USC more. I should have been at every game, every tailgate. I should have been doing more networking and all this stuff, but I was so tunnel visioned and locked in, like, I can't wait till I get my doctorate degree. I can't wait till I'm doctor, da da da. There's this thing where you get your doctorate degree. If you graduate before you finish writing your dissertation, then you're considered all but dissertation. So what is it, ABD? And that just means like, yeah, you graduated, but you're not done with the degree yet because you still have to write your dissertation. So I'm like, no, I'm gonna make sure by the time I graduate, I have my dissertation done, which I did, right? No ABD over here. Say that to say, I was sprinting to the finish line, tripping over myself, you know, and I should have just been taking some long strides, jogging, and really enjoying it. So now I'm at a point in my life where, okay, it's time to just take a deep breath and take a step and slow down and enjoy the roses. Now I'm falling in love with the process. I'm not really new to YouTube. I've created multiple channels in the past. I just never had the consistency. So I'm excited to look into what actually happens when I'm consistent. I want to get into like creative editing. That always the editing part of YouTube. And if you have a YouTube channel or if you ever attempted a YouTube channel, you know that the editing is such a daunting task if you're not someone who is known for that. I'm excited to learn the editing process. Like I said, I want to start my own clothing brand. So I'm excited to work with manufacturers and find like graphic designers, graphic tees and stuff like that. Like I'm just excited for the journey. Like it's not even about, oh, did I sell 1,000 units? It's like, dang, I actually made my own shirt. And look, we have our own tag. And look, I have my own, like, you know what I mean? Journey, like just do it for the love of the game. Obviously, I'm an overachiever. So me doing it for the love of the game, I am gonna try to be the best of the best. But we're enjoying the journey. Other things that I'm excited about is like negotiating brand deals and stuff like that down the line. I'm gonna be like practicing all of that. One thing that I may want to get into eventually, because I do realize I'm biting off a lot already, is creating my own creator agency and having a hub for other content creators. So like, look, you guys, can we take a second? Look how excited I am just talking about this stuff. And I hope that someone, I don't know if I'm gonna, I don't know, because I did mention like what, just 5 or 6 things right now. I don't know if I'm gonna actually be able to implement all of these things, but at least this YouTube channel is serving as, guys, I really want to offer the perspective, like, please go out there and just try. If it doesn't work and you feel like you changed your mind, at least try. You know, you don't got to do something for the rest of your life. I might try to, you know, create shirts and realize I hate this, and okay, cool, at least I tried it. I betted on myself and I didn't give excuses. But yeah, I just want to make some closing remarks very quickly. So again, hoping that this video provides some type of perspective to someone starting over or pivoting in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever have you. Is not failure, it's clarity. It's you being you for longer than you were in the past, and you are understanding who you are at this point in time in life. Not erasing our past life, we're building on it. We're saying thank you for getting me this far, and now it's time to thrive and not just survive. There's parts of the old you that still serve you, so take those parts with you on your journey and leave the rest. For example, I have always been an overachiever in my life. And when I was depressed, I didn't see the value in that. But now I'm not looking at me being an overachiever through the lens of validation from others. I'm looking at it through the lens of, I'm in competition with myself. Like, this is fun for me. Like, hello, I learned how to stream in a month. Started streaming on an old 2017 MacBook. Hello? And became an affiliate, which monetizes the platform by Thanksgiving. Had an 8-hour stream on Thanksgiving. Do I feel like I'm gonna be the next Kai Cenat? Maybe, but that wasn't the goal. The goal was, I said I was going to do something, and gosh darn it, I did it. Thank you. Please. I want somebody to have this feeling. I want someone to get this lit up when talking about something. I want you out there to be able to get excited for life again, and not because you're doing something that society is telling you to do, but because you're actually reconnecting to that version of you that you thought you once lost. She is there and she is ready to work, honey. Okay? You're not behind. You're just in a cocoon, waiting to blossom and become a butterfly. I want this video to serve as encouragement. Please, you can start over. You can pivot at any point in your life. Just try. Final note, it is not too late. And this is me talking to myself and to you. It's not too late. It's the perfect time, right? So thank you for sticking around. I didn't want this video to be that long, but here we are. So please like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. And if the next video is available, please watch it here. If not, please come back same time next week.